we're going to talk now about CBT, which I'm really excited about because your online course is being relaunched, which is just fabulous. I've been through the course myself just so that I could see what it was about. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, and the thing for me was I had a level of understanding of what CBT was. I'd gone through CBT myself before. I'd researched it a bit, but from working with you guys, it wasn't until you and I did a bit of a brain dump so I could kind of get the context behind the product and the service that you were giving there, aside from the fact that it's a brilliant product. We'll talk about that in a second, but it was, I hadn't understood the depth of CBT and actually how powerful a tool, if you want to call it a tool. I mean, you know, God, it's just so much.
Maybe a toolkit.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I'd really love to just kind of delve into that passion that you've got for it and why it's been such an instrumental part of your journey, but then also for your business as well.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you've brought that particular thing forward. I didn't understand the depth of it. I had someone say to me the other day, oh yeah, CBT is great. I did a little course on that. And it's really great because it's all about the here and now and it doesn't involve history. And I was just like, oh, ouch. And I've got to be honest, I have at various points in my own career become quite disillusioned with CBT itself, just because of how it is kind of now perceived and the people and the experiences that people are having from it. And I've kind of lost sight over the way of the depth and the beauty of it as an approach. It's, you know, a full modality, a full approach to self-healing, actually, which is really what I'm all about. So it's been really in recent times that I've actually re-engaged with it myself and kind of remembered the depth of it. And because I practice in various different modalities, I guess I've kind of shelved it for a little bit, you know, and then the passion has been reignited, and particularly linked to the topic of identity, and part of the identity being around the physical body and the emotions that are attached to that. But I was kind of thinking the other day, it's happened to a lot of modalities of therapy, and I could kind of equate therapy to orange juice.
Okay.
You know, if you take a glass of pure orange juice, you know, it's strong and it's powerful, you know, and when you drink that orange juice, like, God, you know you've drunk orange juice because it's pure, it's concentrated, and that's your pure form of it. Now you add water to it, still call it orange juice. And you add more water and you still call it orange juice. And actually it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and it gets further and further away from what it originally was supposed to be. It's still orange juice. And actually that has happened to lots of modalities of therapy, actually, when they get popularized and then people start dipping into it, but not at any depth.
Yes.
And so it loses its power, it loses its concentration, and then people become disillusioned about what orange juice is.
Yeah,
you know, imagine having never tried actual pure squeezed orange, and for years and years all you've ever had is diluted stuff, and then you taste orange and you go, that's orange juice. That's kind of happened in a way for me. I've gone back to CBT and I've remembered it in its purest form, and just how deep and broad and wide it is, but really how much it promotes that self-healing. And that's the key, right? The pain point for practitioners working with people in pain is that it's hard not to feel that pain.
Yes.
And it's hard not to want to take that away and fix people. And the beautiful thing about CBT is it gives you lots of ways that you could do that a little bit. And this is where we have to put a pause in that and go, it's taken people years to dig the holes that they're sitting in. It's going to take a bit of time to dig out of it, right? It's going to take a bit of time, and there is some real value in that time.
It's the silver bullet thing again, isn't it? I think we have been mass marketed to over the years, and you know, that's fine, because that's the evolution of where we've needed to come from to get to this place. But there's this thing that for me, when I first came across CBT, certainly it was like, this is a quick win. You know, it was when I was in a corporate role, and it was very much a case of, there was some big change going on. We were having to make redundancies. We were the ones having to give the messages, you know, and keep the teams going and all the rest of it. And it was like, oh, okay, we'll just do this hit of CBT. You know, here's a couple of sessions of CBT. It'll get your mind right. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it was like, actually, this whole can of worms, and a lot of us ended up onward with that particular person that was taking us through that, because we were like, woof, this just feels like it's scratching the surface here, you know.
Yeah, and this is it. And what the point I want to make here is that when someone's in a deep dark hole, what we want to do is reach down, grab the hand, and yank them out. Now, if we do that, a person hasn't learned how to get out of that hole. So the next hole they fall down, they'll be looking up going, someone get me out of here, right?
Great analogy.
Now, CBT delivered in the wrong way, as in any modality of support delivered in the wrong way, is that reaching down and yanking out. And there'll either be massive resistance, and it's like, actually, no, you're not strong enough to pull me out. And that's the case in your example. It's like, well, this is just scratching the surface. This is crap. I'm still in the hole. Or there might be this quick, like, oh, yeah, that's all better. And then there's a crash the other side. I fell down another hole.
Yeah.
CBT delivered in the right way is like this. You're lowering a ladder into the hole.
Love that.
And you're extending opportunities for the person to discover each step and to walk themselves out of it with some direction. And that, for me, that's the point of any modality of therapy in its most beautiful way, is like, how can I give somebody the tools to step out of the space that they're in, so anytime they end up in that space again, they know how to step themselves back out of it again.
But how empowering for them, but you as a therapist as well.
Beautiful as a therapist, right? Because I'm seeing quicker results.
Yeah.
But I also know that I'm doing it in a fully collaborative way that starts, and it's all pinned on self-awareness. And this is the point again about it being this quick fix and scratching the surface. CBT is not that. CBT, one of the fundamental core objectives of CBT is evaluation, self-evaluation. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never known myself evaluate anything effectively without considering the context and the history.
Yes,
right?
because
if I've got myself lost on a journey, my first question is, how the hell have I got here? Well, it might be, where am I?
Yeah.
But then I'm going to, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And understanding how I got here means I'm not going to do it again, for one. But also, I can now understand how I got here, and I don't have to be so annoyed with myself. And this is the self-compassion stuff. So the history is absolutely essential to CBT. And yet what I'm hearing is, oh, it's all about the here and now, and it's about here and now and the future, and it's not about the past. And I'm just like, no, it isn't. It can be, but it won't be effective. And the course, the program that we've created, absolutely brings tools and frameworks for understanding a person's history, because for many, many, many people, they need that before they go anywhere else. I need to understand why I got here. And so,
talking about the program itself, right? So for me, I'm not a therapist or anything, but I went through that so that I could understand what it was, so that we knew how to put this out to the world, right? And for me, what I loved, so there was a few things that stuck out for me. It was just so in-depth in a way that kind of, it didn't feel like, oh, you know, it's just been chucked together, it's just one of those online programs. It was genuinely like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, this is asking me some questions that I really need to sit in and think about. It checked my understanding as I was going through. It was great to have, like, for me as a learner, like video as well as something to look at, like you know, things to print off and things like that, because I'm not, you know, it applied for everything, so the practicalities of it. But the thing that really got me as well is I'm not trained in that, like that's not my thing, but it really simplified it in a way. It's so weird saying simplified and depth at the same time, because that's exactly what it did.
Awesome.
It made the depth simple enough for me to kind of go through. And I was thinking, gosh, putting myself in the shoes of other therapists, or perhaps teachers who are using this, or, you know, and talk to me in a second about like who it is that you've had go through this program, because it was
Yeah.
originally like a face-to-face, wasn't it? And
It was, yeah, and we've put it on an online course. One, because we realised that we could. We were quite precious about, you know, the classroom experience is really important because we get to do activities where people get to feel stuff, and we're appealing to all learning styles. And we realised that actually we can do that. We don't have to give people reams and reams of reading. We can actually do video tutorials, so people can just sit back with a cup of tea and listen to us exactly like they would if they were sat in a room. We can create online games that are interactive so that people can get to experience some of what we're talking about, just like you would play a game in a room. So we've cleverly created it in that way. So we created it online because we realized that we could, and we're selling ourselves short by not doing that. We're making ourselves quite inaccessible. And what we want to do is make this stuff accessible.
Yeah.
But also because therapy is therapy and life is life. And actually, as a therapist, but as somebody that does life and has also worked in a number of support roles before starting IntraQuest, I was really passionate about bringing therapeutic concepts into frontline practice. So yes, this course is absolutely for counsellors and coaches and people that already have that kind of training, but perhaps don't have the CBT element. But it's equally accessible to anybody in a supporting role, pastoral, leaders, managers, people that are looking up after other people, basically, and trying to help them to bring about change and see themselves and see the world a bit differently. It's super, super accessible. I just want to return to that point of depth and simplicity. That's my big passion in life. I am here on this planet to take big concepts and make them simple. Right? That is what I love. Because actually most things are simple. And what I love about CBT with that is it does just that. And I want to give you an example of how, I mean, I use it actually every day without even realizing it in my supervisions and in my sessions with people, even if I've not badged it as that. People come with an experience. So let's just take, I'm just overwhelmed. Here's a statement, and you might hear this. And actually, as a statement in itself, it's actually describing an experience of overwhelm. And when that's dumped on your table, you go, oh, what do I do with that? And actually the person is in the same place. What do I do with this? I'm completely overwhelmed. And so you could almost write off a situation just with that statement. And what CBT does is it takes an experience like that, and using formulation, and you're guided through that. There's even worksheets. Like that's attractive sometimes. It's like, I don't even have to think here. I can bust that out into 4 component parts. So I can take one big experience that's big and fat and horrendous and I can't do anything with it, and I can break it into 4 parts. So here's an example of perhaps what overwhelm is. Overwhelm are thoughts like, I'm unsupported, I'm on my own, I can't ask for help. So there's your thoughts. And if we're all a fan of working with thoughts, there's a lot to work with there. You then have your emotions that are attached to that. And that might be frustrated, angry, sadness, right? Then you have your physical symptoms, and this is where the body comes in, right? And you might be experiencing some stress symptoms. So let's go, I don't know, palpitations, sweaty palms, red face, blood pressure issues, sleeplessness, tired, heavy, whatever. So the body is doing a whole load of stuff here. Then you have your behavior. So you've got thoughts, emotions, physical symptoms, and behavior. And the behavior, let's take a classic, procrastination. Because actually when we feel overwhelmed, a very typical response is procrastination. I'll do anything but. And actually what we're doing there is looking for mastery. I'll do something I can do. I'll wash up. Load the dishwasher, whatever. I'll do anything.
I've achieved something.
I've achieved something, right? I'll do anything but look at that thing that's making me feel overwhelmed. And the beautiful thing here is not only have you got a roadmap straight away of a self-perpetuating cycle, because actually what does procrastination do? It actually makes it worse because it's still sitting there and I'm still overwhelmed and I'm still on my own and I'm still, right? It then increases all those emotions. I'm more frustrated, I'm more sad, I'm now scared, right? So all that's increasing. Physical symptoms of stress, up they go, and yet I'm staying here. and I'm perpetuating it through this behavior. So not only does it give you a beautiful roadmap to see how a current behavior is being perpetuated, it then serves as a beautiful opportunity for you to work in 4 different spaces, and you can choose. Now, if you want to choose to work in that thought space, this is where history is really important, because actually, if the person is saying to you, I'm alone, I can't ask for help, there's probably history stacked behind that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you as a practitioner, you could probably easily go, well, you're not on your own. You've got a whole family there. You've got friends over here. I'm here. You're not on your own. But the person perceives themselves to be alone.
Yeah.
And so there's where your history comes in. What's the map to this point?
Yeah.
So never mind what you're
happened
overwhelmed
that's
of,
made you feel
what's
like
happened.
that.
So that's where all your history comes in, right? And it informs that whole, oh, this is why I feel alone. This is why I can't ask for help. This is why I am feeling this overwhelmed experience, right? Or we can head over to our emotions and our physical symptoms. Forget the thoughts, forget the behavior. Actually, whilst my body is in stress, right? Whilst I'm in stress, my brain is locked in the amygdala, fight, flight, freeze, flop, whatever. I can't think
Flop,
straight.
I've not heard that one.
Flop's one, feign is another. I like
Okay.
flop, keeping it real. But actually, what's the point of working cognitively when my cognitive mind is overwhelmed by what my body and my emotions are doing right now? So actually, should I really head into the space of, let's just work with stress. Let's work with self-regulation. Let's look at how you can get your body and your emotions back into a space. Let that be the first task. So you can actually work in that space. Never mind the thoughts, never mind the behavior. Let's just go here. Or we can skip round to the behavior and go and look at the procrastination. Look at perhaps how that is further isolating you. Let's look at breaking this big thing down into small chunks. Let's take one thing today, just one thing, and you can guide and coach somebody into taking a different approach to something that might then open them up to relationships with other people. Your experiment there might be, find one person that you feel safe enough to ask for help with something. It might be loading the dishwasher. Right? It might be. But what we're doing here is breaking patterns. Because CBT, you see, is all about breaking rules. I have rules for living. And actually, these rules aren't serving me, And one of those rules might be, if I ask for help, I'll be rejected. Or something like that. Well, let's just experiment with that rule. So we can shelf the problem that we're looking at and just look at the pattern. So CBT is really powerful for so many reasons. And I just think we miss it, and those powerful things get missed when we just take this here and now, quick fix, light-hearted approach to people's deep, deep troubles.
And what I was going to say with that as well, that I love about, and I don't know if this is CBT in itself or how you guys have approached the program, because I don't have that history, but for me, personally, when I was sort of going through that course, I find it incredibly hard when I'm doing deep work, essentially like that, to be linear. So I want to bounce around into the different things. And actually, as a bit of an overthinker, a lot of the time I'm like, I don't want to start there. Like, I'm in my head all the time. So the fact that I could bounce around and actually start from somewhere else made it, it was like it gave me permission to do it in a way that has suited me, which a lot of the time, if you're on a therapeutic journey, it's quite kind of formulaic a lot of the time. Not all the time.
I get you. I hear you. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, CBT is formulaic, but it gives room for the client, for the participant, for the person you're supporting to choose their own route. And I'm just going to be honest, in my opinion, and you'll hear me bang on about it, all roads lead back to the same place, and that is your self-worth. All roads, right? So it actually doesn't matter what you look at. You might have someone go, oh, it's got nothing to do with my past. I've just got stuck in this silly little thing that I'm doing, and you just go, okay, well, let's just do some thought diaries, and let's just track, when these hot feelings come, and let's track it back. all roads lead. You know, if we're going to find some healing, we're going to go a little bit into the past. We're going to go into a little bit of how I feel about myself and what my self-worth is based on. So it actually, in that respect, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go in that formulation. The important thing is that you're led by your client, and the course shows you how to do that and how to do that safely.
Yeah.
And we've also been very careful to create it that, you know, this isn't a digging exercise. So we don't teach people how to draw out juicy information about a person's history, not at all. What the course does do, though, is help you to organize information that's given to you in a way that makes sense to yourself, and it makes sense to the person that you're supporting. So they go, oh, that's like the light bulb moments, the mic drop moments. It's like, that's why I'm stuck where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not rooting about here.
No, and I think that's important as well, because sometimes, depending on who's using this, because my thought was, when I was doing it, I was like, God, if I had this when I was a people manager back in corporate running teams, holy moly, this would have been game changing, because this would have been the thing that could then lead on to then tying into someone's you know, how to motivate people. There's loads of other tools for that type of thing, but like how to and obviously it's not our responsibility to motivate other people, but to help them understand how to motivate themselves, and, you know, why a certain situation is causing grief and friction and things like that.
Absolutely.
And so,
argument, long-term sick, all of that stuff, you know, these are all manifestations of other things. But my biggest passion behind CBT is that it's collaborative, completely collaborative. We're not doing two, but it's the ladder in the hole. We're offering people self-education, and self-education, and I'll bang on about it forever, it is the answer to everything. You know, when I understand myself and I can offer myself compassion, I can move forward in all manner of different ways. I've proved it, I'm living it, and I want to pass that on to other people. And CBT absolutely sits within that arena, for sure.
I love that so much. And I think that's a really good place to draw this one into a close, unless there's any other key points that you want to bring out. I think
no, just about how beautiful the actual program itself is. So I've said about how we've created it, some of the things that are included, but there is, you know, we've also written all your notes for you. So, you know, when you're sitting and watching our tutorials and you're thinking, oh, you know, there's a handbook that you'll have that accompanies you through the whole program. There's space to write notes if that's how you learn best. But as you know, because you've experienced it, we've summarized everything into nice snapshots that you can just go back and read. Obviously, you can go back and do the individual tutorials. The tutorials are in bite size, so I think, what are they, like 8-10 minutes? They're not long. So you could listen to one on the bus or while you're loading the dishwasher, being as that seems to be a topic today, whatever. But also then you've got beautiful resources that you can take directly into your practice immediately. So for those reasons, I would massively recommend giving it a go.
Oh, I would as well. And by the time this comes out, there'll be links up below, wherever there'll be links with this, so you'll be able to have a look and delve into it. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to have that out in the world for you guys as well. It's just it really opened my eyes. It really, really did. So thank you for that, Karen.
Welcome. Thank you.